Welcome to the Creative Condition podcast, an ongoing series of conversations and considerations to help people understand and embrace their own unique creativity for fulfilling lives and brilliant careers. My name is Ben Talon. I'm an illustrator and author, and I bring 16 years of creative industry experience working with the New York Times, The Guardian, the Premier League, and more. And I invite designers, artists, psychologists, scientists, coaches, athletes, sensitivity experts, and all kinds of thought leaders to help us broaden our knowledge of creativity. Creativity is a fundamental pillar of human happiness, a vital ingredient in the solutions to our problems, but so often misunderstood. The show is supported by founding sponsor and B Corp, Illustration X. Take a look at their stunning range of illustrators and animators at illustrationx.com. If you like the music for the show, it's by Dirty Freud, who you can listen to now on Spotify and all good music streaming services. Hello and welcome back to the Creative Condition. My name is Ben Talon. I am your host. How are you doing, guys? I hope you enjoyed this week's big episode with TBWA's incoming Global CEO, Erin Riley. I took so much inspiration from this. Just the way that Erin articulated everything and went about her impassioned account of what she wants to do for creativity. It's very easy to think, isn't it, that when you're at the top of the tree, when people are in that role and you think big agencies and advertising and everything else, that we divorce that from our perception of what pure art can be and what creativity is. And of course we are predominantly talking about the use of intellectual creativity, as my listeners will know, is that separation from emotional. And intellectual creativity, that being, emotion is from the soul without constraints. It's something we want to say about the world, and intellectual creativity is a more professional environment and working for clients and the likes, but the two do overlap. And I think that when you look back at the history of advertising, we realise that actually there's a lot of landmark pioneering creativity and great ideas and just powerful observation skills, emotional intelligence, cultural awareness. I think it's really inspiring personally. Anyway, that is me on Erin. That was awesome. I loved that show. And now I'm going to break it down with the 5 things I've learned, or we've learned, sorry guys, about creativity from TBWA's incoming Global CEO, Erin Riley. Number 1, there is still some way to go for the voice of women in terms of on the creative, the big ideas, the bold, and as Erin puts it, the mischievous and audacious ideas. She talks about the progress of women in the creative industry, how there has been a lot in recent times and it's getting better. However, when it comes to the voice of women in the actual creative, then it tends to be, she says, that women are more in the realm of roles that require detail and rational thinking and organisation skills, as opposed to those big statements, So interesting to look at it that way and how you frame it, because I think diversity and inclusion is really important. It certainly is a major pillar of creativity, because the more voices and the more views and worldviews and lived experiences that you can bring in to draw upon, then the better for creative ideas. However, this can't be box ticking, can it? And it shows when you think, well, okay, we've got all these talented women working in the company, but if they are kept to a certain kind of role and maybe held a little back from the ideas and the creative juicy stuff, then it's not properly streamlined, it's not properly implemented. So that's a really interesting point from Erin. So we have some work to do, it would seem, in that regard, in calling for a greater balance there. Number 2, recognising the need for change is a constant brief. Now, Erin's path is a windy one. She talks about working on the agency side of things, involved with creative and ideas generation and making the work happen, as opposed to then working for 10 years at BBH, working more on the client side of things. And because she wanted to upskill and learn more about that side of things, about the whys and the how things work and how those briefs arrive on the agency side of things in the first place, which was, the first step to where she is today as now as the global CEO of TBWA. It's very interesting to chart somebody's ascent in that regard. But clearly for Erin, she needed to move forward to jump ship, even though she would be leaving certain things that she referenced, loving being at the forefront of culture and ideas, to go and get that experience, which has helped her to where she is today. So we do have to course correct, and we do have to check in with ourselves and be honest when sometimes the comfortable track is not the one. We have to, to use the cliche, to seek discomfort, to actually get away from the thing we've always done that we're good at, which comes easily to us, and freak ourselves out a little bit and just throw ourselves in a few deep ends. You can always come back, and I think when you do that, you come back with new experience and a new eyes. So even when you come back, it's not going to be the same. You're not retreating to something that once was. You're going to be coming back with a whole new suit of armour, so to speak. But you might not come back. You might be on a different ascent altogether. So you do have to check in with yourself. Number 3, disruption is more than a disposable buzzword. So when it comes to TBWA, they go under the disruption company. And this is something that Erin talks about, knitting a company that has over 11,000 employees, which is mind-boggling, worldwide. How do you gel that amount of people? Well, you need culture, you need mantra, you need a myth. And think of religion, think of football fandom, any kind of major group and community and tribe is knitted by its unifying beliefs. And that is something throughout history that we've had to overcome the limitations of the people that we can truly know. I believe the number comes in at around 150. So if you think about your friendship network and your inner circle, how many people can you truly know and stay in touch with and stay an active part of their lives? I have a lot of friends. I'm very blessed because I've moved around a lot. I've been to lots of different educational institutions. I'm a part of various tribes and societies. I'm quite an extroverted social person. And what that means is I struggle to stay in active contact with everyone. So you do need a unifying belief. And for me, creativity and my love of it and my, artistic nature enables me to stay in touch with more people than that 150, even if it is casual and passing. And of course, you can't be best mates with everyone at TBWA just because you work at TBWA. But disruption is the thing that informs everything in the company. And Erin talks wonderfully about that in this episode. And it's worth consideration because when you're growing a company, you're growing an organization, what is that unifying belief? Do you believe it? Do you lead by example? Certainly in respect of someone like an Erin Riley, who's at the top of the ladder. Are you living that? Are you showing it? You're leading by example, because that has to come from the top down, which leads me into number 4. Belief in creativity must start at the top to be realised. Interesting. I talked to Max Ottignon recently live at D&AD New Blood Festival, and we talked about going to bat as the face and the top dog in your company, as the founder, for creativity. Because if you're taking on clients that are going to boss you and not listen to your ideas and just want a certain thing serving, then you're going to end up in trouble. You're going to end up with disaffected staff. You're going to end up with different clashing ideas, confusing and getting in the way of real creativity. And Erin talks about, being passionate about creativity, saying that she's not an artist herself, but she loves creativity, loves people who practice creativity with passion and purity, and wants to enable risk-taking and people not to fall on swords of mistakes, when invariably they do make a mistake, because trial and error is going to lead you down a few false paths. But her point was, and this leads me into number 5, that we all have a role to play in breaking the deadly fear of bold creativity. That a track record and a portfolio and professional respect carries and should carry so much further than a test piece of work or a pitch, that's fear coming in, and it's Erin's job to try and fight that. And she spoke quite disparagingly of the pitching process and, neurotesting and the things that go on in industry to try and mitigate fear, to try and eliminate risk and the unknown, when unknown is at the very heart of creativity. So she talks about why should 4 weeks worth of testing or pitching trump 50 years of a track record of an incredibly talented agency like TBWA, known for their bold ideas and disrupting under their mantra. This goes back to the kind of trappings of algorithms, something I'm going to be talking about in depth with Kyle Jaker, staff writer of The New Yorker, coming up very soon. Awesome episode. Because really it is, it's that kind of hyper-fear in this late-stage capitalism when budgets are tighter and we don't want to lose clients and things are a bit fraught, that we try to guarantee absolute certainty and safety, and we absolutely can't do that in any walk of life, let alone where creativity is at play. But there you have it, 5 things that we learned from Erin Riley, incoming Global CEO of TBWA. Hope you've enjoyed that this week, guys. Really big episode. Thank you for the feedback. Sarah Prinsloo last week was a massive episode, as was Professor Carl Chin the week before. Go back, check them out. Subscribe, rate, review, please. It really helps the show. Pick up your copy of the Anatomy of Creativity map right now. And, of course, the book, which is now available as part of a bundle with that map, the Creative Condition book, now bentalentwriter.com/shop. Thank you as ever to the founding sponsor of the show, illustrationx.com, and please go and help out the Ukrainian Institute who are supporting the embattled Ukrainian creative community at a terrible time of war, ui.org.ua. Thanks guys, I'll see you next week. Take care.